is Joseph Hoagland Sr. I'm from a very small reservation in that Lake, Minnesota. Real close to Canada. I don't know, we're about 50 miles south of the Canadian border. No, not even that much. And then way back in the woods, like the nearest town is 20 miles, other than the res. And talk about my Bigfoot sightings. I guess I'm making this video because I'm too lazy to type it all up, and I mean, I can type for a little while. Trunks. Well, anyways, it was September 2nd, 2011. I have to explain part of the day that what happened during that day. It'll probably, like, people might think, maybe it's less credible, but I have to explain everything that happened. Alright, so September 2nd, 2011, my little brother Jacques, he comes up. He was staying on the Fond du Lac Reservation down by Cloquet, Minnesota. Came up with some of his buddies, and I hung out with them for a little while. I mean, not like a real long time, but for a little while. They were, young adults, either turning anywhere from 18 to 22, 24. And I was 33 years old. So, anyways, they were all kind of, doing their thing, smoking. I don't know how to say this without incriminating it. Smoking funny cigarettes. And I don't know, they were sharing some kind of alcohol. I can't remember what it was. I didn't want none of it. I was doing my own thing, believe it or not. I mean, it wasn't really my own thing. It was kind of a new thing to me. I had panic attacks, hypertension panic attacks. Well, anyway, I was prescribed Xanax. They were just little pink pills, half a milligram. Well, anyway, um, I would get 10 milligrams over a 10-day period. And yeah, I don't know. There is no other way to say this, but I abused my pills that day. I took half of them, I don't know, about 5 milligrams. I was high. No, no feeling, like no, how do you call it? Like no fear, no healthy fear even, showing off in front of my little brothers and their friends, to the point where I was um, pulling like, some old Bruce Lee kung fu moves, like, wah! Well, anyway, they were kind of settling down, and I was just getting started. I wanted more, and I wanted to, after I had gotten high, I wanted some of that alcohol, but their alcohol was gone. It just so happened that my mom, who lives up the road, she had alcohol, so I went and took her alcohol. Yeah, checked my brother, my older brother, who lives next door here. He didn't have none, so the only thing to do was go dip into mom's stash. So I went and took my mom's alcohol, and I was drinking. I was the only one drinking from then on. I was already high. I took a couple more pills. Can't remember how many I took, but I think I only had like 3 pills left the next day, and those were half milligrams. So yeah, I took quite a few. I was pretty blasted on Xanax. That was 2 houses down this way. Anyways, they wanted to go to bed. I have some older guy like me hanging around, talking smack, and they didn't want to hang out. They didn't know what I was capable of. I didn't know what I was capable of. It was just kind of one of the moments where I guess you could say it wasn't safe to be around me. And it was that day that when I got high and I drank, I threw away 7 years of sobriety. So anyways, I didn't want to go home. I didn't want my wife to see me like that. You know, she would have given me the boot. Didn't want my kids to see me like that. I was afraid. I knew it was going to be one of them nights where, you know, I was just going to be sitting outside. So basically what I did was I went from the 2 houses over to next door, 1 house over, and there was a young couple living there. They were my age, and I knocked on their door. I visited with them, and I was like, hey, you know, they told me they were going to go to bed, you know, and I was kind of like, hey, I don't want to go home, you know, can I, you know, can I just sit on your front porch? I don't, you know, I was afraid of my wife, yeah, I'll admit that. I was afraid to go home. I was afraid of my wife seeing me. I didn't want to get the boot. I didn't want to see the disappointment in my wife's face. Well, anyway, I sat there, well, I don't know, an hour maybe, after they had gone to bed. They left their front porch light on. It wasn't very bright. It's not as bright as mine. I have the brightest light around here. Other people have like just, you know, a screw-in light bulb light. It's not very bright at all, you know, for an outside light. Well, I couldn't tell you the time exactly, but I was sitting there. You're kind of at the point where you're almost falling asleep, and kind of at the point where I was almost falling asleep. And I hear this brush crashing. But holy cow. I hope the audio on this camera is good enough to hear that. You know, as a matter of fact, I do have my audio recorder in my pocket. I can't believe that just happened. That's pretty cool. I want to haul back. Kind of want to. Woo! Just leave my audio recorder out here. In this chair or something. Never know, I might be running in pretty soon or something. Someone come scare me. I was sitting there, and I wonder if anybody else heard that. Well, anyways, I was sitting there, and out of the brush, on my left side, right into the driveway, came a Sasquatch. I mean, wasn't very big. He was quite thin, maybe about 6 feet tall. Um, see his face, his hands, black fur with gray skin. And I'm all, you know, doped up on the Xanax and, alcohol. So, like a dummy, I just stand up and say, whoa. I start yelling, whoa, whoa. It's a Bigfoot, it's a Sasquatch. Baguchinini. Holy moly, you're real. Wow, they're really real. Hey, everybody. I just start yelling, like, really. I'm the only one out in the middle of the night, but yeah, I start yelling like that. And, I walk right up to him. I go down the stairs, and I walk right up to him. And he's only about 6 feet tall. Looks young, like a 14-year-old boy. Not even very old. Like, and he was beautiful. He was beautiful. Well, anyways, I walk right up to him. I'm yelling, hey, yeah, oh, you're not really ugly, Yeah, you're not really as big as people say you are. I'm sitting there saying these things as, I'm just right in the middle, and I'm saying, hey, can I touch you? And I reach out my arm. Better put my, and let's say this is my forearm. I reach out my arm, and I just go like that. And I feel it. It's like, oh man, this is real. You're real. Start, screaming again. I mean, I'm not screaming, but I'm like, whoop-de-doo, like, hey, everybody, holy shit, there's a fucking Sasquatch out here. Yeah, I swore. And, my cousin, lives across the road over here. Yeah, I'm hearing stuff, but my cousin lives across the road. She opens her door. Shut the fuck up, Joe. They're trying to sleep. The kids got school tomorrow. So, oh, yeah. Well, there's a Sasquatch over there, And she's like, well, run away with it. It's just, that's kind of shit, family would say, So, anyways, after I touch it, I'm sitting there and I try to touch his face, like, and he turns around, runs back into the woods. I can't see him. Dark, completely dark. Runs back into the shadows. And I walk right into their house, the neighbor's house. Just didn't even knock. Just walked right in. They're laying down on the couch, and they're like, "Whoa," and I'm like, "Well, hey, man, there's a Bigfoot out here. There's a fucking Sasquatch out here." And so, the guy, his name is Eric. I'm not gonna say his last name. He comes outside, and he starts he's just looking around, asks me what happened, what did I see, and I tell him, I'm sitting there like, there's a fucking Sasquatch out here, he looks like a fucking Indian. He's fucking, just gray skin with a bunch of fur. They look like us, man. They're pretty fucking cool, And he's looking around, and nothing. Don't see nothing, don't hear nothing. They're not crashing around the brush. They're not being violent. They're not being aggressive. They're being, I don't know, invisible, They didn't want us to see them, even though I already saw them. Anyway, Um, Eric says, hey Joe, why don't you go home, sit on your own damn porch? So I walk, I hit the road, I walk up, sit on my own porch up here, and I'm sitting there, I'm still pretty doped up, still drunk, I'm still high, um, and it was at that time, as a matter of fact, my wife was still awake, so it couldn't have been past midnight, couldn't have been, maybe it might have been about 11 o'clock, um, and I didn't want to go inside, I didn't want her to see me like that, so I just sat on the porch, and, I didn't last long, I don't think I didn't sit there. It was like all the excitement was gone, nobody believed me, it's like I had already forgot it happened. Um, I sat there on my front porch, and I fell asleep. I, fell asleep, kind of, just like a drunk falls asleep sometimes. So, it was about 2 o'clock in the morning, and, I started feeling this, something was hitting me, on the arm, on the shoulder, and, I look over, and there's a little pebble falling after it hit me, and, I look up, kind of looking around, I see something dark over there, and, bam, two squatches just walk right up to, by my stairs, just walk right up to me, and, one was gray, and one was brown, the one that was brown had brown skin, the one that was gray, I couldn't really tell what color the skin was. He was kind of a little bit further back in the dark, but the brown one walked right up to me, and his eyes were red. The other one, the black one, his eyes weren't red. The gray one, his eyes weren't red. The brown one, he had red eyes. Um, not like, not like these red glowing eyes either. They were just like you ever see those vampire shows? Like, what's that called? Um, Moonlight, or no, Twilight, yeah. Well, anyways, and this is stupid to reference it, it really is, because it says, man, I watched a cheesy ass show like that. Well, anyways, Twilight, in the one people, they have brown eyes, they eat animals, drink the blood of animals, and then there's the other kind that drink the blood of humans, and those were the kind that had the red eyes in that show. And, well, anyways, he had eyes like that, but it wasn't fully red. It seemed like just to have a red ring around the, I don't know what you call it, around the eye. The actual pupils were, just kind of dark, normal color, just like a red ring around the eye, pretty much. So, anyway, he's there, he starts grabbing at my sweatpants. Yeah, he starts grabbing at my sweatpants, and he looks up at me, and while he's grabbing at my sweatpants, and he looks at me like, he didn't say nothing, but he kind of has this look like, well, what kind of fur is this? That's the way he was looking at me, really, like I should have explained myself or something, and, I kind of got scared, I was like, some of the high and the drunk had worn off, it was 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd slept a little bit, I don't know how long they were there, I really don't, Um, well, anyway, the brown one was grabbing at my pants, and I touched him again. I touched that one too. I pushed his hand away, and he kind of like just kind of moved, kind of like I'm pushing his hand away, and he just moves it out and reaches for my pants again. So he's grabbing it, and I say no. And I'm getting scared at this point, and I try to swat at his hand, and he pulls his hand back real quick. And it was at that point that I had gotten up and walked into my house. I didn't care who was awake. I was getting the hell out of there. I walked in the house. Nobody was awake. I went straight to bed. Um, I could feel fear. I, um, but I was still kind of, I was still a little bit under the influence. It was fear, but it wasn't terror. Um, like I had just, maybe I had just started getting back that healthy fear, whereas before I didn't have the healthy fear. Just walked right up to him, touched him, talking and everything, like, hey, check you out, like he was my friend or something. Um, I remember that black one, his fur. Dang, in the moonlight, it was kind of like it was really glowing, like something beautiful. I mean, I can't explain it. It just had this glow. Um, the brown one was in the light. I didn't get to see that. The gray one, I didn't see the glow in there. They were actually in the dark shadow over by, he was in the dark shadow by the shed. Um, so anyways, uh, I didn't tell my wife. Nobody knew. Um, maybe 2, 3 days went by, and uh, I, oh, I woke up. My daughter was screaming. I woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning. My daughter, Rhonda, she was screaming her little head off. I was sleeping on the couch. I jump up. I run downstairs, and I find her on the toilet. She was constipated, and in pain. So I sit there, I talk to her for a little while, and I let her go back. I put her back to bed with her mom. Go lay with mom. Well, okay. At 4 o'clock in the morning, I'm like, yeah, oh man, it's 4 o'clock. I might as well just make coffee. Get up, make coffee, stay up. So I make coffee, and the wife don't let me smoke inside the house, so I had to come outside to smoke. So I'm outside. I'm here on my front porch, and bring my coffee out, take a drink of coffee, light up a cigarette, and suddenly I hear over here to my south, um, I hear the sound of a branch break. After the sound of that branch breaks, I hear it hit a tree twice. And this was right around the time that Finding Bigfoot came out, and I really, as a Native American, we view them as powerful spirits. I mean, very powerful spirits. And And I still do, by the way. I view them as very powerful spirits. They have abilities that we don't have. Anyways, they that the one knocks twice, 2 times, and suddenly, all over the place. I mean, like, over to the north, over back to the east, the west, all over the place. I start hearing knocks, and they all knocked 3 times in response to the one that knocked twice. And there were a lot of them. And I knew what it was right away. I referenced that Finding Bigfoot show, the knocking. And besides, I had heard them long ago knocking anyways, on a fast, like and at other times in my life. I just didn't quite realize it was them, you know. I'd always just figured, it might be deer or something, like, because they get the deer, they get that velvet, they get those, and they have to rub it off, they have to rub off that velvet, so, you figure, a deer's antlers hit trees quite a few times. And, well, anyways, yeah, I hear them all knocking. Like a dummy, I run into my house, and I grab my wife's rolling pin, and I came out, and I have this wooden porch here that might as well turn the camera over there just for a quick look. Well, I have this wooden porch here, and I came and I knocked. I came outside and I knocked on that porch. I knocked 3 times like the other ones did in the response to the one that knocked twice. In doing so, they all began knocking. I mean, like, all of them just coming closer and closer and closer, to the point where I could hear them right around, like, in the tree line of the yard, which really isn't very far, but so they were all, they were just around the yard, and I stepped out, and I looked to my left, and behind my brother's boat, there was one, and he ducked down, and he went back, and that might have been a knock, I don't know. Well, that's drunks over there. They all started knocking, and they all surrounded the house. I mean, they were whooping at this point, too. And, that was the one and only time, no, yeah, that was the one and only time that I actually heard with my own ears, the one kind of whoop. It was the whoop, there's like a glottal pitch change, like back in your throat, goes from lower to higher, whoop, whoop. And he did that twice. What did I do? I mimicked it. Next thing you know, they're all whooping, and they didn't all do the same whoop from there. That was just, that was the point where they all just started doing normal whoops, like a whoop, like that, I freaked the hell out. there was quite a few of them. I didn't count them. I ran inside. I ran in my house like a little bitch, yeah. And I waited for daylight. All during that time, yes, I could hear things hitting the house, maybe like sticks or something, you know. And the wife went to work, the kids went to school, and I'm sitting there at that point, and I'm freaked out. I go, you know, start looking through all this Bigfoot stuff online, you know. I call some elders, call some friends, and none of the elders wanted to come out. I had one friend that was willing to come, and he had talked about the Squatches over in Fond du Lac quite a few times. My buddy Nick, I can't say his last name. So, they, so for the next couple of days, I would put, you know, my little camera out as a recorder, and I would listen for the knocks and the whoops and stuff, and I would try to get them to respond. And they did, you know, and I would post it on YouTube, and I got all these negative responses like, oh, that shit's fake, this, that, blah, 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 you know. I'm like, well, fuck you guys. You know, I was thinking, you ain't gotta listen to that shit, you know, fuck you, this happened to me, it ain't. Well, anyway, I knew that there was a community out there, like you know, Bigfoot people. And I was, you know, talking on Facebook, like, you know, why won't my elders come out and hold ceremony, this and that. And anyways, my friend comes up, my friend Nick, he comes up, and I get him to come up. I'm like, you know, I'll give you some wild rice, and, you know, come say hello to my friends. And he came up not believing me. He got here in the nighttime when they were just right around. There were some across the street. There were some back here, you know, they were just all around. And he says, Joe, what do you think will happen if I shake this tree? I don't know, bro. You know, why don't you go try it? So he goes over there and he shakes a tree. And pisses them off. Pisses them all off. They all start shaking trees. And he had these little applications on his phone. Real high pitched, like these high frequency applications. He was playing with them. And that would get them going. Like, you know, they would scream at that shit and knock. And he stayed for 3 days. And, you know, after that, they were still kind of being aggressive and everything. And I was starting to see them during the daytime. By the way, I'd look out my window. This is my northern window right up over here. It'd be right out over here, right out in that area. And you know, when I when I'd look out there, there'd be one there, and then he'd move when he knew I saw him. I don't know, I'm starting to hear shit. Anyway, that went on for quite a while, and I was begging and pleading on Facebook for any of my elders and medicine men friends that would come out and help me with this, because I viewed it as a spiritual moment, and they didn't come. And it was one girl that posted online. She said, "Why don't you contact bfro.net?" And I contacted them, and they sent a guy up. He was a Native American man, by the way. I can't say his name. He asked me specifically not to say his name, but he was a BFRO investigator. And while he was here, he stayed in his car with his girlfriend, just put a recorder outside, and got nothing. We went out around the res, did a few knocks and whoops, and got responses every time. We went back here in the back of my woods. We didn't see none, but we heard knocks. We walked a road to the north out there, and we heard speech. And all the while he was saying, "Yeah, we can't just assume it's, the Sasquatches." And I already knew. It's just because we wasn't seeing them, it doesn't mean they wasn't there. They were there, man, and that was them. Anyways, after he left, he had got him to settle down, by the way. We had offered, me and my friend, we offered them food. We offered them traditional food still, like popped wild rice and blueberries. They weren't having it, And when the other guy, the BFRO guy, came, he was like, well, they like peanut butter, So we put out peanut butter and apples, and it turns out they did. They did enjoy the peanut butter and apples. They hit it. They hit it hard. I played my flute, and I got some of the elders on the reservation. None of them were medicine men. They were just elders to come out to the house. And we had a little pipe ceremony right here. I had a little fire area, little pipe ceremony. We all lit our pipes. And one of them walked right up to us. There were 3 of us, me, my buddy Nick, and one of the elders heard it. The other elders saw it, but we didn't see it, so that was real strange. The elder that saw it was hard of hearing. And in the end, they told me that, they were here for me for some reason, and I needed to keep asking them what they wanted. So I would put my tobacco out every day and ask them what they want. I would give them food every day, ask them what they wanted. Did all of that. And it was like every night I would come out here and I would knock. Just to hear them respond, and they did. It was after the BFRO guy came, though, that actually they quit being so active, but they were still active after he left. it was quite a while that after that it settled down. I would play my flute at night. I would sing songs on the drum at night, and I did quite a few things. As a matter of fact, I was always testing them, like, what do you do? They had speech, but it wasn't, you know, being a Native American, I thought, I spoke in my language. I used that tobacco, and they would speak back to me in my language. They didn't. They had their language, but it wasn't my language. It wasn't English. I really couldn't tell you what it was. And there were quite a few times that some amazing things would happen. For example, I had my wife, we bought lots and lots of apples during this time, and every night I'd be out here, and even some of the kids would say they were hearing things, but they weren't seeing nothing. But I would be out here, and I would raise an apple in the air, and I would hear a tree shake or a knock. So I would throw the apple in that direction. And most of the time, it was child squatches across the street. I would whip the apple over there. And you hear them sometimes just eating them too. And but this one time, I raised this apple. Well, I had heard something over here to my right. I knew there was one over here. I raised my apple, and I was trying to be sneaky, and it was pretty sneaky. It was pretty cool. Raised the apple in the air, and across the street, they all started shaking the little bushes and, knocking and stuff. And I threw the apple this way that time. And I heard it hit, something. And then that something went, whoa, And all the little children squatches across the street were laughing. That was pretty funny. I think what I did was I hit the mom. I think, or the dad. I don't know, But it was fun. It was pretty crazy. It was fun. So I had some good times with them, and I had some real scary times with them, And it was for like weeks and weeks, like lasted for like 3 months really, where I didn't get hardly any sleep because at 2:30 in the morning they would hit my house, or they would hit the tree real hard out here. Just this, I have a maple tree right over here. They would hit my maple, and I would hear that, and I would get up, and I'd make my coffee, and I'd come out here, and I'd start talking and throwing apples. And when they would make me mad, I would when they would upset me or something, I would bring the camera out, and I would just start, doing the camera everywhere, seeing if I could get pictures of them. Never really did good pictures, no matter how close they were. And that was the strangest part about it. You could see them. Sometimes you could see them running around. They were just like shadows running around. Shadows. And I get into arguments with people about that, Like, they're all like, no, it's gotta be a hardcore physical being or something. And to me, it's like they have a choice whether they do that or not. They can be physical, or they can be like like shadows, you know. No, you don't know. I know. There are other people that know, um, and then there are other people that will not accept anything unless they see a hardcore, full Sasquatch, you know, and um, even other people like the elders around here. My uncle said when he was a kid, he was like a teenager running around. One of them came out at him and his friends, and they could only see the upper half of it. They couldn't see no feet. So it was like this big furry ball floating. Um, I know that sounds crazy. It sounds real fucking crazy. Um, and while they were here, I dreamt about them. Just about every dang night. Always just dreaming about them. There's something over here. Might be a rabbit or something, I don't know. I suppose I better finish my story and leave my recorder in the chair. Yeah, I don't know. So anyways, they were around in this area, and that that was quite a while that they were around, matter of fact, and they stuck around. Like they would go sleep during the day sometimes, and they would always be here some during the day, but in the nighttime they were all here. Every last one of them. You could hear them all, you know, like. And when they were all here, there was a lot going on. The BFRO guy came out. He witnessed quite a few things, but I don't know what he wrote in his little report. I really don't have a clue. So, but that didn't end it, you know. It went on for quite a while. There was always something going on. Sometimes they still come around, just not as much. I don't get to see them. I do get to hear them in the audio sometimes. You hear them knocking or whooping or howling or whatever. And, oh, you know what I did with them? One time was uh, I was here on my front porch. I'm about done with the story anyway. I was up here on my front porch, and um, this is when I do believe was the first time that I've witnessed over here. That's where they hung out, over there in the brush. That used to be filled in. It looks like there's kind of a trail there now, but I sat here one night and I started imitating animals, and they would imitate them too, perfectly though. Like if I did an owl, you know, they did an owl. If I did a wolf, they did a wolf, and they did it better. I tried a frog, and they hit me with that infrasound. I tried to do as low as I could, that ribbit, and I don't know, I just felt this vibration, and I heard this low, deep bass type stuff, and that was when that happened. Okay, end of story.